Welcome to another video lecture about infinite series. So in this lesson, we will be focusing mainly on infinite series whose terms are all non-negative. And we will establish tests for convergence or divergence for series with non-negative terms, and these are the 5 most basic tests that we know. In fact, most of the tests that are available usually came from or consequences of any of these 5 tests. To begin, why is a series of non-negative terms important to look at, and why it is more convenient to study? It is because of this fact from an earlier course in advanced calculus, which is the monotone convergence theorem. It states that if a sequence of real numbers is increasing and bounded above, then it has to converge. Remember that this theorem is basically a consequence or just equivalent to the completeness axiom. If you have an infinite sequence of real numbers that is increasing but bounded above, then this sequence has to converge to its supremum. The reason why we are after series with non-negative terms is the fact that if a series has non-negative terms, because you just keep on adding and adding terms one by one, no? The sequence of partial sums is just an increasing sequence. It will never go down. I mean, the value will not go down. It will only uh, steady on its value or increase. So basically, the sequence of partial sums is an increasing sequence. Hence, the convergence of because the convergence of the infinite series lies on the convergence of the sequence of n partial sum. The convergence is now dictated whether the sequence of partial sum has an upper bound or not. Therefore, we have the following theorem. So for a series with non-negative terms to converge, the sequence of partial sums only has to have an upper bound to be guaranteed of convergence. Take note that the theorem doesn't necessarily hold when the series has negative terms, just like in the case of this series. In the case of this series, the sequence of partial sums is the sequence 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and so on. Therefore, although this sequence is bounded, you cannot say that this is convergent, because this is not a monotone sequence anyway. Also, for a series with non-negative terms, the only way for the sequence of partial sum to converge, because it's an increasing one, is to diverge to infinity. So when a series of non-negative terms is divergent, the sum is infinity. Without further ado, let's begin with the first test, and this is sometimes called as the integral test. So here we get a positive decreasing continuous function that approaches 0 as x approaches infinity. For each natural number n, let us denote by an f of n. So in this picture, the red graph is the graph of the function f, which is the positive decreasing and continuous and approaching 0 as x approaches infinity. Now the rectangles here have widths equal to 1. This height is represented by f of 1. This height is represented by f of 2. Because the widths are 1 unit, so the area of each rectangle represents the terms of a sub n, just like so. So here we now get a series of real numbers and an integral, an area below the curve. This test tells us that this series will converge if and only if this integral, or as a limit, will exist. Take note that this integral, the upper hand limit of the integral is infinity. It only tells us to Well, in order to calculate this, you first replace it by some other variable and then take the limit later as t approaches infinity. Furthermore, the test gives us an upper bound, or tells us that the value that we compute, just in the case where this exists, the value of this is not necessarily equal to the sum of the infinite series. In fact, the integral is an underestimation of the sum, and the error is at most the size of the first term. Okay? So, why is this true? So, here is the proof. So, let k be an integer greater than 1. Here we will consider the interval from k minus 1 to k, an arbitrary interval. Okay? Here in the figure, you will see f of k minus 1, so this is ak minus 1, f of k, so this is ak. Because this is 1 unit in length, by the way, if we pick any x from here, no, let's use a yellow color. If I pick an x here, over here, then you see f of k is less than or equal to f of x, and f of x is less than or equal to f of k minus 1, because the function f is decreasing. And f of k is ak, f of k minus 1 is ak minus 1. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to integrate each one of these from k minus 1 to k. Each one of these. I'm going to integrate it with respect to x. If I do that, for example, this integral, ak will go out, then I'm left with this integral. You see that this integral has a value of 1. Hence, we have the following estimate. Here, AK now represents the total area under this blue rectangle. The integral in the middle represents the area under the red curve. And AK minus 1 now represents the area of the taller blue rectangle. That's why the inequality holds. If I sum up all of this, k from 2 to n, so the left hand side will be the sum a2, a3, plus and so on, plus an. So this is almost s sub n, except that wala siyang first term. So this is s sub n minus a sub 1. The rightmost part of the inequality, this one, if you sum up this up from k equals 2 to n, you will get a sub 1 up to a sub n minus 1. That's why we have s sub n minus 1 over here. On the other hand, this integral, when you sum this up, k from 2 to n, you will get the integral from 2 to 1 plus the integral from 2 to 3, 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, then 3 to 4 hanggang n minus 1 to n. So by the additive property for integral, it can be summarized as a single integral from 1 up to n. Using this inequality, we can now prove the theorem. If the series converges to, let's say, a sum s, then we know that s sub n minus 1 increases to s. That's why s is an upper bound for this sequence. And when you let n approach infinity, this remains an upper bound. That's why this integral is bounded above by s. So therefore, if s is finite, this has to be finite. On the other hand, if the integral exists, then the integral is an upper bound for the sequence. And by this inequality, s sub n minus 1 minus a1 is bounded above by I, the value of the integral. Hence, putting that here, s sub n is bounded above by a1 plus I. For a series with non-negative terms, the convergence is now determined whether there is an upper bound. Here we found an upper bound for the sequence of partial sums. Therefore, the series has to converge by the previous theorem. The inequality now follows from this inequality. You can rearrange that and have the desired inequality. So, let's try to apply the um, integral test. Now take note that in this lesson we will not concentrate on determining whether a series converges or diverges, because you have done this in an earlier course in calculus. What matters in this lesson is the fact that you know where these tests, or how these tests were established, and what are the conditions for this to hold. Okay, so for example, let's identify whether this series converges or diverges. For number 1, you simply let f of x be ln of x over x squared, so that ang a sub n natin ay f of n is ln n over n squared. So we will just take, now you can check one by one that the conditions for the integral test will be satisfied. This is positive, decreasing, continuous, and it has a limit 0 as x approaches infinity. Although I will not show it here, you have to check carefully that those conditions actually hold before applying the integral test. Okay, so here we're just going to calculate the integral from 1 to infinity of f of x dx, or the integral from 1 to infinity of ln x over x squared dx. Now here we're going to apply the integration by parts. So I will let u be ln of x, I will let dv be dx over x squared, so that du is 1 over x dx, and v is negative 1 over x. So performing integration by parts, we get the following. Okay, now to evaluate this, when we say the upper limit is infinity, we do not really substitute infinity. Instead, we take the limit as x approaches infinity. Taking note of the fact that ln of x approaches infinity as x approaches infinity, then the first term is actually an indeterminate form, infinity over infinity. So you may apply L'Hopital's rule to guarantee that the limit is actually 0. Or you can just verify upon calculation that this is just 0. Okay? On the other hand, the integral of 1 over x squared is negative 1 over x, I think. When x is very large, this is very near to 0, so that all in all, the value is 1. Because this is finite, we can now say that this is convergent. We now move on to our second example. Now remember, you could always pause and rewind. For a second example, we could take f of x to be 1 over x times the ln of x. Again, you have to check that this function is continuous, positive, decreasing, and approaching 0 as x approaches infinity. This is quite easy to establish. And then, take note that n here, or the index here, started at 2, ended up at infinity, because when n is 1, ln of 1 is 0, so you get some kind of problem when you started at 1. So in that case, you also would start the integral from 2 to infinity, like so. So you just evaluate this improper integral. Notice that if you let u be ln of x, then du is dx over x. So basically, this is in the form of du over u. So ito yung ln of u. Okay? So this is going to be the ln of x. X from 2 to infinity. When x is infinite, ln of x is infinite, because ln of x approaches infinity as x approaches infinity, as established. Therefore, this is infinity minus ln of 2, but no matter what is ln of 2, this is infinity, so this has to diverge. Let's continue with this example. This is a very important example. This series is what we call as a p-series. it looks like this: 1 over 1 to the p plus 1 over 2 to the p, 1 over 3 to the p. P is positive. Now, it turns out that the convergence of this depends greatly on the value of p. So, this series converges if and only if p is greater than 1. So, for example, when p is 1/2, this diverges. When p is, let's say, 5, this series must converge. How do we establish this one? To establish this one, first of all, you observe that if p is 1, we get the infinite harmonic series. And this really diverges kasi harmonic siya. Now, justify na natin ito dati, no? So, it clearly diverges. So, let's rule out one from the situation. Here, we are going to apply the integral test. I'm going to take the to consider the function x raised to minus p. Then, we'll take the integral from 1 to infinity of x raised to minus p dx and determine for which value of p is this finite. Doing some sort of an integral, you will get x to the minus p plus 1 or 1 minus p over 1 minus p. And then for x infinity, we take the limit as x approaches infinity minus when x is 0, when x is 1, 1 over 1 minus p. So we know that this one will exist. It depends now on the following. If and only if the limit of x to the 1 minus p as x approaches infinity exists. But you know, this would exist only kasi for example, pag yung 1 minus p dyan ay 2x squared, infinity yan. Pero kapag yung 1 minus p dyan, kuwari negative 2, 0 yung limit na yan. So, it will exist. So, hindi lahat ng value ng p mag-exist yan. Did you get that? So, kailan mag-exist ito? Mag-exist yan precisely when the exponent is negative. And that will happen if and only if p is greater than 1. Therefore, this converges, right? If and only if p is greater than 1. So, for example, summation of 1 over n squared, this has to converge. Pero yung summation 1 over square root of n, this has to diverge. Why? Here, because p is 2, here p is 1/2. 2 is greater than 1, but 1/2 is not greater than 1. Okay? In fact, for p greater than 1, the value of 1 over n squared can be n to the p can be very hard to get. No? This number, when p is greater than 1, is what we call as the Riemann zeta of p. Zeta is what we call as the Riemann zeta function. And this is the topic of the so-called Riemann hypothesis, which is one of the unsolved problems in mathematics, which prices $1 million to whoever who can solve the problem. The next test is the most important one actually, because the remaining test will largely depend on the comparison test. It says that if you have two sequences an and bn, so that eventually bn will dominate an and they are both non-negative. So whenever you see this in calculus or in real analysis, it meant to say that this doesn't need to hold for all n. It only needs to hold for large values of n, or not now, but it has to it has to become true later or eventually. Ang English natin ito, eventually. Bn dominates An eventually, and they are both eventually greater than or equal to 0. It says two things. If the sum of the dominating terms, no, is finite, then the sum of the terms being dominated has to be finite as well. And if the sum of the terms which are being dominated, or the smaller terms, is infinite, then of course the sum of the bigger terms has to be infinite as well. So as you can tell, the comparison test is very intuitive and very natural. But of course, we are in a subject where we do rigorous calculus, so we have to justify this using sound logic. And in this case, I will be using the Cauchy's criterion for convergence. If you haven't yet studied that, just go back to the previous video. Kindly check. Now, to prove this, first take note that 1 and the 2 is actually the contrapositive of statement number 1. So they are basically equivalent. So we only need to prove one of these. So in our case, we will prove statement 1, thereby proving statement number 2. So here we assume that the sum of the Bn terms, or the dominating terms, is convergent. Let epsilon be greater than 0. By the Cauchy's criterion for convergence of infinite series, we could select an m so that this is less than epsilon whenever m and n are greater than or equal to m given to be greater than m. If we could remember, ito yung S sub m minus S sub n, where S sub n denotes the nth partial sum. So we are just saying that the sequence of partial sum of Bn is a Cauchy sequence. That's what it is. It's just written differently because we're working on an infinite series now. Kasi nga, convergent ito, the sequence of partial sum has to be Cauchy. So to prove that the summation of An is convergent, we must also show that the sequence of partial sums is Cauchy, or it has to satisfy the Cauchy's criterion. This is quite easy to do. We just need to take the integer which is the larger between m and k. Why? Kasi there are two conditional statements here, or statements here. This one will work only when the index exceeds k. This one will work when the indices goes beyond m. Because I want this to happen, or I want to use this at the same time, when can I use these two inequalities simultaneously? It's like saying, for example, this one will happen in the year 2010. This one will only happen beyond, this one will happen beyond 2010, and this one will happen beyond 2020. If today is 2012, will these two happen at the same time? No, ito lang ang sure na mangyayari. Ito hindi pa. So to be able to be sure na mangyayari ng sabay ito, I need to choose which integer is bigger, or in the year beyond 2020 mangyayari na ng sabay ito, kasi ito mangyayari beyond 2010, ito mangyayari beyond 2020. So mangyayari sila ng sabay in the year 2020, kaya kukunin natin yung mas malaki. So this is a common technique that you need to learn how to use. So if m now and n are greater than or beyond this n, pares na itong nag-hold. So I can now use them. Looking at the S sub m minus S sub n for summation of an, because this one happens now, non-negative, I can drop the absolute value sign, right? And because in this case Bn dominates An, this one holds, so I can replace this by that, pero ito'y less than or equal. And by the previous statement, ito'y less than epsilon, thereby proving that whenever this one holds, ito'y less than epsilon, shows that the nth partial sum of the series summation An is also a Cauchy sequence. So by the Cauchy's criterion, it has to converge as well. That completes the proof. Let's see now how we can apply the comparison test. Although the comparison test is quite intuitive, it is kind of hard to really implement. Why? Before you apply the comparison test, you need to find a series which you will compare. Kaya nga comparison test. Iko-compare sa mga ito to know kung ganito. Ang una, dapat meron ka ng idea kung magko-converge or mag-diverge. Right? Para alam mo kung paano i-compare. Kasi if your intention is to prove that this converges, hahanap ka ng mas malaki na ang sum ay magko-converge. Kung ang intention mo is to prove that this diverges, hahanap ka naman ng mas maliit na ang sum ay magda-diverge. Do you get what I mean by that? Okay. So let's do number 1. Now look at this. Because I, being your teacher, is quite skilled now, no? I can now do these things. For example, I know that for n greater than or equal to 1, I know that n cubed plus 3n is greater than or equal to n cubed, because 3n is positive integer. If I delete that, that's greater than n cubed, right? Am I correct? Tama ba? And of course, for n greater than or equal to 2, n plus 2 is less than or equal to n plus n or 2n. By the way, the first inequality implies that 1 over n cubed plus 3n is basically less than or equal to 1 over n cubed. Right? Why do I need this? Therefore, for n greater than or equal to 2, I am now sure that n plus 2 over n cubed plus 3n, kasi this one is n plus 2 times 1 over n cubed plus 3n, is less than or equal to 2n over n cubed, which is 2 over n squared. Tama ba? Since summation of 1 over n squared is convergent by p series test, p greater than 1, ang p natin ay 2, follow ng pag naglagay ka ng constant dyan, convergent pa rin. Therefore, ano sinasabi ng comparison test? Kung yung sum na itong mas malalaki nagdo-dominate ay magko-converge, dapat yung sum ng mga even mas maliliit dapat mag-converge. So you see, it takes a lot of experience to be able to master the use of the comparison test, but it's very simple, no? Very simple to use. Nga lang, ikaw maghahanap ng ibang ko-compare mo, bahala ka. Look at this now. Now remember, ln of n goes to infinity as n approaches infinity. But it goes to infinity very slow. So I believe that 1 over ln of n will go to 0, but it will go to 0 very slow. Slow enough para itong sum na ito ay magda-diverge. So I have a feeling that this infinite series will actually diverge. So how do I know that, or how do I establish that for sure? To which series will I compare this one? Now look at this. I claim that n is greater than ln of n for large n. Lagay ko na lang dito large n. Ano yung sabihin ko ng large n? I will explain. The reason is because if you take the limit of paano ba to? ln of n wait. ln of n over n as n approaches infinity by L'Hopital's rule, 0. L'Hopital's rule lang ginamit ko. So, if that is 0, it meant to say that there exists an n such that ln of n over n will be less than 1 for n greater than or equal to n. That's the this is the, what do you call this, the consequence of this being convergent to 0. So in other words, for n greater than or equal to some big n, ln of n is less than n as claimed. Okay? So therefore, that being said, magka-follow ngayon ng 1 over n ay less than 1 over ln of n for large values of n. Since the sum of 1 over n diverges, then, of course, by comparison test, 1 over summation 1 over ln of n must diverge as well. See? It's quite hard to use the comparison test, but once na makita mo kung paano saan i-compare, medyo madali lang siya. Although, as I have said, this takes a lot of experience. Dapat na-experience itong ginawa doon sa math analysis series nyo noon. How about the summation of 1 over n factorial? N factorial is quite fast to go to infinity, so 1 over n factorial is quite fast to go to 0. So I feel like this one will converge. Now look at this. Observe. I will try to compare this with 2 to the n. No, 2 to the n. Start tayo sa 1. Huwag natin lagyan ng guhit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When n is 1, 2 to the n is ahead of n factorial. When n is 2, anong mangyayari? 2 pa lang ito, pero ito ay 4 na. When n is 3, this is 6, pero ito ay 8 na. When n is 4, ito ay 24, tapos ito 16. Oh, biglang humarurot yung yung n factorial. Tapos ito 120, and ito 32 pa lang, tapos 720, 364 pa lang. And I guess hindi na makakahabol yung 2 to the n. So therefore, observe that n factorial is bigger than 2 to the n. Now, I'm not saying that n factorial is greater than 2 to the n for all n. I'm saying that this is true for n greater than or equal to 4 kasi dito lang siya nag-dominate. Ito yung importance na yung inequality mag-hold lang eventually. So magka-follow ng 1 over n factorial is less than 1 over 2 to the n for n greater than or equal to 4. Dahil yung sum ng 1 over 2 to the n is, this one is a geometric with ratio 1/2. Geometric r is 1/2 and this is less than 1, right? Then by comparison test, sum ng mga 1 over n factorial, dapat ito yung mag-converge din. Okay? So that's it. Before we state the next test, let me first define the following. We say that the sequence an is asymptotically equal to the sequence bn, written this way, if the limit of their ratios is 1. So to be asymptotically equal doesn't really mean equal. It only means to say that for large values of n, the ratio is almost 1. Meaning to say, yeah, yung hindi na sila masyadong naglalayo, or the way they grow as a sequence, almost the same because their ratios is close to 1 whenever n is large. So that's what we mean by being asymptotically equal. As an example, the polynomial 2n cubed plus 4n squared plus 16n minus 13 is asymptotically equal to 2n cubed. Kasi kapag kinuha yung limit na yan, no, you can see that their limit is 1. The idea is kapag meron kang polynomial, you can just drop all the terms with smaller degrees kasi as n grows, hindi naman nakaka-apekto yung, negligible na yung effect nung 4n squared sa growth tsaka nung 16n. Imagine, n is 1 billion. Meron akong 2 times 1 billion cube. Palagay mo kapag binawasan ko ng 13 pesos yun, mapapansin ko pa. Hindi mo na mapapansin yun. Kahit magtanggal ka pa ng 16 times 1 billion. Maliit na yun relative to 2 times 1 billion cube. The principle is like that. Maraming mga theorem sa mathematics that uses asymptotic equality. For example, the famous prime number theorem is stated this way. Meaning to say yung growth nila ay comparable, no? Now, take note that being asymptotically equal is different from being approximately equal. Kasi kapag approximately equal, ang kailangan naman yung difference nila, ang limit ay 0. Sabihin, pag malaki na yung n, dapat yung difference nila lumiliit na lumiliit. Pag asymptotically equal, yung ratio nila lumalapit sa 1. Okay, ano sabi ng prime number theorem? Sabi, if pi sub n denote the number of primes less than or equal to n, or less than n, then the number pi sub n, which we are not really sure of, knowing how the primes are distributed, meron na tayong theorem na nagsasabi na yan ay asymptotically equal to n over ln of n. In other words, this one estimates the number of primes less than n asymptotically. Ang isa pa sa mga sikat na theorem sa math na gumagamit ng symbol na to ay yung tinatawag na Stirling's approximation. Kasi n factorial is very hard to compute, no? But we have an asymptotic approximation to that, which is given by the square root of 2 pi n times n over e raised to n. Ginagamit ito sa combinatorics for computational purposes. Anyway, the reason why we are doing this is because of the following theorem, which is what we call the asymptotic comparison test. So here we get two sequences of positive real numbers. Positive, bawal ng 0 kasi kukunin natin yung ratio. If an is asymptotic to b sub n, then either both their sums converge, or both their sums diverge. So yun, pag magko-converge yung isa, magko-converge din yung isa. Pag magda-diverge yung isa, magda-diverge din yung isa. For the proof, assume that an is asymptotically equal to bn. So by definition, the limit of the ratios is 1. Now, taking epsilon to be 1/2, for example, if you let epsilon be 1/2, by this limit, makakahanap ka ng k so that beyond k, yung distance nito from 1 can be made less than 1/2. In fact, it can be made less than any epsilon greater than 0. But for this case, I only need for the difference to be less than 1/2. Now, i-elaborate mo tong inequality na yan. Parang ganito yan eh. Magiging ganito siya. Tapos mag-add ka ng 1. Magiging 1/2 ito. Ganyan, no? Ito 3/2 na. Tapos, multiply ka ng bn over 2, 3bn over 2. Mangyari yan for n greater than or equal to k. Yun na nga yun. Diba? So, tapos na. Ba't tapos na? Simple comparison na lang. Kasi, tingnan nyo. Kapag yung summation ng bn ay nag-converge, no? So, yung sum na itong mas malaki, magko-converge. So, by comparison test, yung sum ng AN magko-converge din. Kung yung sum naman ng BN ay magda-diverge, dahil naman sa inequality na to, yung sum na to ay magda-diverge. Kaya yung sum ng mga mas malaki, magda-diverge din. Kaya nga nakalagay dyan, the result now follows from the direct comparison test. So, either pareha silang magko-converge or parehas mag-diverge. The way we are using the asymptotic comparison test is easier doon sa comparison test kasi hahanap ka lang ng series na ipang-compare mo na asymptotic doon sa given na expression. For example, itong mga to, no? Kakatakot ang itsura, pero ang katotohanan niyan, hindi naman mahirap. Halimbawa, yung 2n cubed plus 4n squared kasi minus 3n plus 8. Ako, tinitignan ko pa lang sa mata. Alam ko na convergent ito. Paano ko nalaman? Kasi ito asymptotic lang to sa 2n cubed. I mean, burahin mo lang yung mga lower degree. Yung n to the 5th plus 6n minus 1, asymptotic naman to sa n to the 5th. Kaya nga, yung fraction na ito, nga ba isulat, yung fraction na ito ay asymptotic lang sa 2n cubed over n to the 5th or saan? Sa 2 over n squared. So basically 1 over n squared siya. E diba yung 1 over n squared nagko-converge? So magko-converge to. Ko-converge din ito. Kaya ito ay magko-converge. Kaya nakita ko na kanina, kahit na wala pa akong ginagawa, na yan ay magko-converge. The idea is just delete the terms with smaller degrees. Titignan mo lang kung anong matitira doon sa mga malalaki. Yun yung shortcut. Or, ang tawag natin sa shortcut na to, asymptotic comparison test. Ito. So, basically, parang ano lang ito square root of n to the 7. Tapos ito parang 8n to the 12 raised to 1/3. So, parang n to the 7 halves to n to the 4. Is that correct? So, parang ano to? 1 over 2, 4 minus 3.5, 1 half, square root of n. Yung sum ng 1 over square root of n, di ba diverge yun? Kaya dapat ito ay diverge. Hindi mo pa tinitignan. I mean, tinitignan mo pa lang. Alam mo na kagad na yan ay diverge. Did you get what I mean to say? Or how to use the asymptotic comparison test? Alright, let's move on. Ilang test na lang ba? Dalawa na lang, yung ratio and root test. Magkapatid naman yung dalawang yun. I mean, they are related. But in order to state the ratio and root test, I am defining the following. So, let's say I have a bounded sequence, AN. A number x, alam natin kapag ang sequence ay bounded, it doesn't necessarily converge. There are lots of bounded sequences that do not have a limit. Pero one thing is for sure, sabi ng Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem, sure ka na meron yung subsequence na magko-converge kung hindi man siya magko-converge. Meron siyang part or portion ng sequence mo na magko-converge. Right? Kolektahin mo ngayon yung mga subsequences na nagko-converge. And then, ilista mo lahat ng mga limit ng mga convergent subsequence na yun. Ang tawag natin sa mga limits na yun, ang tawag natin mga subsequential limits. Kasi hindi naman siya necessarily limit ng sequence, pero limit siya ng isang subsequence na convergent. Ang tawag doon subsequential limit. Pag nilagay mo sa isang set, lahat ng mga limits ng mga subsequence na nagko-converge, tawagin natin lambda. Yung set na ito has to be bounded as well kasi nanggaling lang naman yan doon sa bounded sequence na A and then, di ba? So, kung bounded ito, meron yung supremum tsaka infimum. Yung supremum ng set na yan, tawagin natin lim sup or limit superior. Yung infimum ng set na yon, limit inferior. Parang roughly pwede nyong isipin na ang lim sup siya yung pinakamalaking subsequential limit. Yung lim inf parang siya yung pinakamaliit na subsequential limit Kasi for most of the interesting cases, finite lang naman itong lambda na yan. At take note, this is a big capital lambda. Ha? Ayan na nga. Lambda is certainly non-empty by, sinabi ko na kanina, Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. Okay? If an is not bounded above, syempre hindi kasama sa definition nito, no? We will just write the lim sup as infinity kasi parang sinasabi mo na wala siyang pinakamalaking subsequential limit. Meron siyang limit point, meron siyang subsequence na nagda-diverge sa infinity. On the other hand, if a sub n is not bounded below, we just simply write the lim inf is negative infinity. Pero alam nyo, kung convergent naman yung an from the beginning, alam natin na lahat ng subsequences niya magko-converge din sa L. Kaya ilan lang ang laman ng lambda? Isa lang. Lahat kasi ng subsequence na magko-converge dun sa limit. Convergent naman yung sequence. And in that case, magkakasundo yung lim sup at lim inf. Kaya nga, minsan ginagamit itong test kung sa convergence. Kapag magkaiba yung lim sup at lim inf, it's an indication na hindi convergent yung sequence mo. Parang yung sequence na 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Meron siyang subsequence na constant sa 0, meron siyang subsequence na constant sa 1. So, meron kang dalawang limit point, 0 at 1. In fact, ang lim inf mo 0, ang lim sup mo ay 1. Dahil hindi parehas yun, it's an indication na hindi convergent yung sequence mo. Example, observe this sequence. 1, 2, 3, 1 half, 2, 3, 1 third, 2, 3, 1 fourth, 2, 3, and so on. Ang mga subsequential limits niyan ay 0. Paano ko nasabing 0 is a subsequential limit? Kung titignan mo kasi yung subsequence na to, 1 half, 1 third, 1 fourth, papunta yan sa 0. So 0, although it's not an element, it's a subsequential limit. 2 is a subsequential limit because you have a constant subsequence 2. You also have a constant subsequence 3. So 0, 2, 3 are limits, subsequential limits. In fact, no other subsequential limits are there. So in this case, ang lim inf natin ay 0, ang lim sup natin ay 3. Ano si 2? Wala lang. Subsequential limit lang siya. Okay? Ito na. The reason why we talk about lim sup and lim inf because na-mention sila sa ratio test at truth test. Ng mga bata kayo, you might have heard about the ratio test and the truth test. So this is quite a generalization of that. No? Kasi ng mga bata kayo, limit lang yan. Walang lim sup. Limit lang. Pero ngayon, lim sup, no? Kasi ano yan, the reason being is that I think may mali dito. May mali. Ito dapat ay infimum. Mapakibago ha, lim inf yung pangalawa. Kasi, paano kasi kung walang limit? Hindi mo na ma-apply yung ratio test. Pag walang limit, ang ginagamit mo yung lim sup tsaka yung lim inf. Ratio test kasi kinukuha mo yung ratio ng mga succeeding terms doon sa previous na term, an plus 1 over an. Ina-observe mo yung behavior ng ratio na yan. Alam niyo ang motivation talaga nito ay yung geometric series. So for a geometric series, a geometric series starts at a, multiply ka ng r, multiply ka ng r, multiply ka ng r, multiply ka lang ng r. 'Di ba? Tingnan nyo. Kapag dinivide mo kasi ito, yeah, AR over A, common ratio nga eh, dr ito ratio ulit r, ito ratio ulit r. So for a geometric series, yung ratio na to is constant to r. So ang limit ay r. 'Di ba kapag ang r less than 1, convergent yung series. Kapag yung r ay greater than 1, divergent na. So parang ang ratio test ay generalization ng bagay na yun. So we are trying to compare with a what do you call this? With a geometric series. Okay. Before we prove, take note again, this is lim inf. lim-inf ito kasi hindi ko na bago sa slide. Kaya pabalik-balik yan. I will prove number 1 and I will ask you to prove number 2 as an exercise. So tawagin natin L yung lim sup nung an plus 1 over an and let that be less than 1. Because L is less than 1, may space sa pagitan ng L at saka ng 1. Gawin nyo, pumili kayo ng kahit na anong R sa pagitan ng L at saka ng 1. Okay, kahit anong R. Dahil yung lim sup mo ay less than R, coming from here, yung lim sup mo ay less than R. Ano yung sabihin ng lim sup ay less than R? Say, this is R. Pag sinabi yung lim sup, ito yung lim sup. Ito yung lim sup. L. What does that mean? Ito na yung pinakamalaking subsequential limit. Meaning to say, wala ka ng makikitang subsequential limit sa kanan ng L. Right? Right. So, may tanong ako, ilang terms ngayon ang nasa kanan ng R? Ilang terms ang nasa kanan ng R? Dapat finite na lang, di ba? Hindi pa pwedeng may infinitely many terms dito. Otherwise, magkakaroon ulit ng limit point dyan. You get what I mean to say? So, dapat, kung finite lang ang nandito, darating yung panahon na mauubos ito pag umandar yung an, di ba? So, eventually, lahat ng mga terms mo mas maliit sa R. Eventually here. Yung sequence mo will eventually here. Kaya yung an plus 1 mo over an will be less than R eventually. For when you say eventually, not now but later. Okay? Now, tignan nyo ito. May sabihin yan. May sabihin yan, when n is capital N, ang an plus 1 over an is less than R. So, that means, ang an plus 1 is less than R, an times R. How about an plus 2? Less than R din yan. Kaya ang an plus 2 mo is less than an plus 1 times R. Pero ang an plus 1 mo is less than an times R. Kaya ito less than an R squared. Ano nangyayari? Kung ano yung ina-add mo dito, no, you can write it like this. Kaya, inductively, you can say the following. So, parang, yung mga susunod na terms beyond an, mako-compare mo siya sa isang geometric na series. Eh, dahil geometric lang naman ito, at yung R na yan ay less than 1, ko-converge ito. Kaya yung sum ng mga terms mula a sub n pataas, convergent yun. Eh, it doesn't matter naman kasi yung mga terms na naiwanan mo below n, finite lang yun. So, hindi siya nakaka-apekto sa convergence. Kaya, kahit i-add mo mula umpisa hanggang dulo, convergent pa rin. That proves statement number 1. Yung number 2, ito yung lim-inf naman. Okay? Pag yan ay greater than 1, divergent. Left as an exercise. Take note that the ratio test is inconclusive in the case that this is true. When you say inconclusive, wala tayong pwede i-conclude kapag ito yung nagkatotoo. Parang mga negations lang naman ito ng mga inequalities na ito. Okay? Halimbawa ito. Kailan ginagamit ang ratio test? For me, ginagamit ko ang ratio test kapag nakakita ko ng mga factorials. Kasi mga factorials, pag dahil sa property ng n plus 1 factorial divided by n factorial, dahil nagiging n plus 1 yun, nawawala yung factorial. Parang yun. I mean, ako personally, as a student before, whenever I see factorials, ang unang pumapasok sa isip ko, ratio test. So here, ang an ay n factorial over n to the n. Ang titignan mo dyan yung an plus 1 over an. Ang an plus 1 is n plus 1 factorial over n plus 1 raised to n plus 1 or over n factorial over n to the n. Paano natin i-divide ito? So, magiging n plus 1 factorial. Paano nga ba ito? N plus 1 to the n plus 1, n to the n factorial. So, itong dalawa magiging n plus 1. Correct? Tapos, ito, mababawasan ng isa, magiging n to the n over n plus 1 to the n. Tapos, pwede nyo pag-isahin. N over n plus 1 raised to n. I could also do this. N plus 1 over n raised to minus n. Para pwede ko i-divide. 1 plus 1 over n raised to minus n or n raised to negative 1. Ba't ko naman naisip yun? Well, kasi bright ako. Joke. Ito kasi, this is a familiar limit. May limit ito eh. Ang limit na ito, diba? E. Yung number na E. Kaya ang limit ay, this limit is going to 1 over E. And 1 over E is less than 1. By the way, ang lim sup, lim inf limit, pare-parehas lang yun kung may limit. Okay? Alright, so 1 over E is less than 1, so ito ay convergent by ratio test. Sulat nyo na lang yung conclusion. No, let's look at yung kapatid ng ratio test, ang root test. Ganon din naman ang root test. Nakadepende rin ito sa geometric series. Ang geometric series kasi ganito. Tingnan nyo. AR squared, no? R cube. Tanggalin na natin yung A. Tingnan lang natin yung R. R squared, R cube, R to the fourth, R to the fifth, and so on. Pag kinuha mo yung one root, wala namang one root, no? Pag kinuha mo yung square root nito, cube root nito, fourth root nito, fifth root nito, ang lalabas ng sequence, R, constant sa R. Parang ganyan yun. Wait lang. Okay. So, sabi na ito, if you take the lim sup of the nth root of an, and the lim sup is less than 1, kapatid, no? Magkamukha sila ng ratio test. Except here, kinukuha mo yung nth root ng an, then the sum converges. Kung yung lim inf naman ay lumagpas ng 1, diverge na yan. Kasi pag in-nth root mo yung geometric series, naging yung ratio lang eh. Parang ganun. Parang kino-compare mo siya. In fact, the proof is very much related to what we did before. Tawagin mo lang L ulit yung lim sup. Kuha ka ulit ng R sa pagitan ng L at 1. Pagkatapos, dahil nga lim sup ay mas maliit sa R, eventually, lahat ng terms mo nasa kaliwanan ng R. Okay? If you take the n power of both sides, ang an mo ay less than R to the n. Ayan na. Dahil nga yung R ay less than 1, yung sum ng Rn magko-converge. So, by comparison test, yung sum ng an magko-converge. Ganun lang kadali. And again, the root test is inconclusive doon sa case na ito. Okay, so para matapos na tayo, let's directly apply it to this example. Ginagamit ko naman ang root test kapag may mga to the n, maraming to the n. Kasi ang effect, pag kinuha ko may nth root ng mga n powers, nawawala yung mga exponents. Okay? So here, ang an ay n, 2 to the n, 3 to the n. Wala lang. Kunwari, napag-tripan mong kunin yung nth root of an. Magiging nth root ng n, 2 to the n, 3 to the n. Magiging n raised to 1 over n times 2/3. Yung n raised to 1 over n, anong limit nun? Tandaan nyo to ha. Hindi ko alam kung sino teacher nyo ng advanced calculus, pero dapat na-establish ito dati. Ang limit nito ay palaging 1. Kaya ang limit nito is 2/3. Because this is less than 1, therefore, this one is convergent. Okay, so 1 hour mark na tayo. So, that's it for this lesson. Huwag niyong pansinin masyado yung mga test na ito kasi ginawa nyo na ito nung undergrad. Ang importante, nakita nyo kung paano ginamit yung mga definitions and mga theorems to establish these tests at anong role na ginagampanan ng mga conditions. Bakit nagko-converge, bakit nagda-diverge. That's what matters. Next lesson, papansinin na natin yung mga series na may mga negative na terms. Paano natin malalaman ang kanilang convergent. At meron tayong mga issues na sasagutin kapag ang mga series ay may negative na terms. They behave kind of weird, no? They defy the rules of algebra. Anyway, see you in the next video lesson.